Nathan, were you working pretty closely with the league to get this decision finalised?
Yeah, this has been a unanimous decision. So the clubs have been meeting daily along with FFA probably for the last 2 weeks to establish firstly what this means for the health and well-being of our players and fans. Obviously we went behind closed doors a couple of weeks ago. In the last few days it's become evident that the logistical ability to play the league was going to be a challenge. So the decision was obviously made overnight and this morning by FFA that it would be postponed.
There was some talk that they could move it even to New South Wales. Was the Adelaide supportive of that, or was it just...
There were 3 or 4 different models that were a possibility. That was one of them, and we were investigating options, but it never got to that stage.
Are you hopeful that you can still play out the remaining games when eventually, if it does?
We'd like to, for the integrity of the competition and looking further beyond this season, but now there's bigger picture concerns for all of us outside of football, which again is why this decision's been made. But for now, where the league's postponed, and we'll wait for further notice from FFA.
Financially, what does this mean for the club?
It'll have an impact. We're somewhat fortunate that we're at the back end of our season, so we've played 11 of our 13 home games. 5 games remaining in total. In the short term, it'll have an impact, but that's what we're assessing at the moment. We've obviously seen what other codes have announced in the last few days. We'd expect there'll be something similar in the short term with regards to the A-League, but this announcement was 4 hours ago, so we're still digesting what it all means.
In other codes, you're referring to the AFL and taking pay cuts. Is that a similar model you're looking at?
Well, it's not for us to make that decision necessarily. That will be a collective with the PFA. In the short term for us, there's obviously a staff impact, being that we're not running matches, so staff are on leave and have been working from home for the last week and a half. We'll continue to assess that and see what it means longer term.
The FFA said it could be quite damaging to some clubs. I'm not even sure if all the clubs will survive what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Is that the same case for Adelaide United, or are you sure that you make sure you get through?
There might be something that Piet can address in more detail, but look, it's going to have a financial impact for everyone, be it a sporting club or otherwise, and we're no different. We won't be immune to it. What that impact is, we're not 100% sure as yet. As I said, it's been 4 hours since we've had the postponement notice. And I'll stress that at the moment it's not cancelled, the league. It's only postponed. So we'll wait till 22 April and any further feedback from FFA before we
How much do you think this will hurt some of the other clubs, not just Adelaide United, but also other clubs with pay cuts and perhaps stamping down staff across the league?
I can't comment on how it impact other clubs. I don't know their financial positions or priorities.
How do the players come in?
Look, I don't think the players were surprised. This has obviously been public for a long time, and they've seen what's happened in other codes in the last few days. So we addressed the players yesterday and said this is a possibility. They're more interested in terms of what it means for longer term, being the remainder of this season, but then also moving into next year and pre-season and whatnot.
The Foxtel component, how critical is that to helping the club survive? How critical is it to finish the season, or does it really happen?
This is a discussion that I will leave mainly with the FFA, who have the contract with Fox at the moment. So it's up to their people to discuss the situation with Fox. I read somewhere the other day that the A-League doesn't exist without Fox, and that makes sense, of course. But I think for AFL and Rugby League, the same thing will be the situation. The reality is, 2 days ago we had no idea what we would be doing today. The reality is we would have no idea what we'll be doing in 2 days' time. Everybody is concerned. A couple of weeks ago you asked me, what's the impact of the coronavirus in China? Well, everyone is impacted. That becomes clear now. Football in the bigger picture is something that is certainly not among the main concerns of me or anyone else in Australia at the moment. I think it will impact everyone, it will impact the whole economy, and we will be playing football again one day, whether that's in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months or next year. There will be a competition, there will be Olympics, everything will get back to normal. What happens between now and in between, this is uncharted territory. We have no idea. That's simply the situation. We don't know.
How much will the club hurt because of the impacts that the coronavirus has?
That is Completely impossible to assess right now. The league is postponed for now, so we continue in a couple of weeks' time and everything's back to normal. I am in a perhaps unique situation that I'm looking with my personal background to what's happening in the Netherlands, which is ahead of developments in Australia. And I'm also concerned with the situation in China, which is ahead of everyone else and has turned back to normal. So how long things will take, we don't know. What the damage will be, I don't know. My primary concern now is not so much what will happen to football, but what will happen to all the other people who have jobs, who have businesses, people who are in the front line in hospitals looking after ill people, people with elderly people in the family that are worried about. I think these things are more important than, even though it's once said that it's more important than life and death, but I think football is not even secondary at the moment. That's the reality.
This morning in their press conference that they perhaps see the league changing because of this in a perhaps a good way. Do you foresee that as well?
I think the whole country will be changing in a couple of months. Perhaps that's a good thing in the long term. Eventually things always become okay again. Things always work out one way or the other, and the same will be for this. How and what, we can't say.
It might be a question for Nathan, but how did the talks last night and the days leading up to it, the player contract deadline on the 31st of May, how did that affect the talks at all, if any?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So
We're looking at a day-to-day perspective right now. Again, we couldn't imagine what's happening now, all this, a week ago. So it's pointless to look beyond.